Good evening, everyone. I am sorry for my lateness, trying to schedule too many things in one day, my day off. So let's get this party started. This is Wednesday, May 3rd. It is 6:10 p.m. and I am calling the meeting to order. Sounds so fancy. All right, roll call. Fatima.
Chair Irvin,
Present.
Vice Chair Eder, Chair Kendall,
Present.
Chair Becker,
I am here.
Chair Hessel.
Here.
Chair, we have a quorum. You can proceed.
Thank you. Okay, we are going to open the public hearing. This is the time and place set for our hearing on planning file number MP 23-1 and SP 23-1. The hearing is now called to order. The hearing will proceed as follows. Staff will present the staff report. Applicant will present its application and supporting evidence. Any interested persons will then be provided the opportunity to present testimony on evidence in support that is neutral or that is in opposition. Applicant, as the party bearing the burden of proof, will then be afforded an opportunity to present rebuttal testimony. Staff will provide closing comments. Any party may request that the written record remain open to respond to testimony presented at the hearing. At the conclusion of this hearing, the Planning Commission may close the public hearing and deliberate towards a decision, close the public hearing and defer deliberations towards a decision at a date and time certain, continue the public hearing at a date and time certain. All testimony, argument, and evidence must be directed to the applicable criteria or any other approval criteria you believe to be applicable. Matters unrelated to the applications are not pertinent to the Planning Commission's decision in these proceedings. Failure on the part of any person to raise an issue that is not specific enough to afford the Planning Commission and parties to this proceeding an opportunity to respond to the issue precludes appeal to the City Council and Land Use Board of Appeals on that issue. Failure of the applicant to raise constitutional or other issues relating to conditions of approval with sufficient relevance to allow the local governments or its designee to respond to the issues precludes an action for damages in circuit court. I feel like a lawyer right now. Commissioners must disclose any ex parte contacts, including site visits, biases, or conflicts of interest. Does any commissioner have anything to disclose? And if so, please state the nature and whether you intend to participate in these proceedings.
So this is Mike. I think in my role with county and serving on the ambulance service area and as public health director may be asked in other ways to support this work, I think it's best that I recuse myself from further discussion. And I will not be participating in any vote.
Thank you, Mr. Baker.
This is Commissioner Kendall. I have no conflict of interest.
Commissioner Irvin, I have none.
Commissioner Hessel, I have none.
Thank you. Does any party wish to challenge any member of the hearings body based on ex parte contacts, biases, or conflicts? Seeing none, we can move on to staff delivering the staff report.
Thank you, Chair. The applicant Jefferson County Fire and EMS have filed for a site plan and master plan application. The master plan proposal states that there will be an extension of existing building, future expansion of the building, which will include office site, student housing, and related training structures. The property as of now is zoned open space or public facility. The staff have deemed the application complete as of March 31st, 2023, and notices has been sent to adjacent property owner, developing team, and was also posted on Madras Pioneer newspaper. As part of the notice, we notice it as master plan site plan application, and also a variance application. Discussion with the Community Development Director and Public Work Director, the applicants have requested modification for Madras Development Code Standard 1815-110, subsection 5, for the height requirement that will exceed 35 feet only for existing training tower, on average of 40 feet. The building addition, the existing building height, the BLM office, and the storage unit will meet the standard below 35 feet. The applicant have also requested a modification of standard 1815-110, subsection 9, lighting for the south side of the site to have a well-illuminated light for safety and operation of training site. The northern side still comply with standards as listed in Madras Development Code. As mentioned under Madras Development Code 1815-10, subsection 4, subsection H. Just going to pull that up here in the screen, which state that any proposed modification to otherwise applicable standards for development within the master plan development must be appropriate for the type and scale of development proposed, must not inhibit the ability to serve the subject property with urban services, and must otherwise assure the health, safety, and welfare of the subject property and adjacent properties. And for that, the variance was deemed unnecessary. In addition, there were 2 modification requests for the landscaping requirement to reduce the requirement from 25% from open space and public facility to 23%. And the other landscaping modification is to remove the landscaping requirement at the proposed paved training area. Per recommendation from Public Works Director, and this modification has been waived and the modification has been granted. We have not received any letters or emails or comments from adjacent property owners regarding the land use proposal. The staff has issued a condition of approval that the master plan will remain valid for 10 years, which, Nick, you can correct me if I'm wrong, this is the maximum duration for a master plan. The staff moved the Planning Commission to approve file MP-23-1 and file SP-23-1 based on the Planning Commission recommended findings and decision. Happy to take any questions.
Does the commission have any questions for staff?
This is Commissioner Kendall. You had mentioned that there was a request for landscaping changes from 23% versus 25%. And you said a removal of something else. What was that something else? I didn't catch it.
Landscaping requirement on paved training site.
Paved training site,
Correct.
remove that.
Mhm.
So they would not have that
Correct.
to be included, and that was something that was normally included. Okay,
Yes.
thank you.
I had a similar question about the landscaping. So it sounds like if we are reducing one area and then where it is currently paved, we're just not asking for additional landscaping. Am I to understand that correctly?
Could you rephrase the questions again?
So I'm a little bit confused about the 25 to 23% and then no green space. So does that mean that there's no additional green space going into that area, period?
That is correct. Yes.
Okay, but the site is already constructed. It already has asphalt.
Correct.
Okay,
Yes.
thank you. The other question I had was related to the lighting on the south side. I can't remember if there are any residential neighbors that could be impacted by the additional lighting on that side.
So I pulled up the Jefferson County map here on the screen. You will see that the properties to the east are zoned residential, as well as the properties here on the south. I'm going to also pull the site plan application and the map. Just a second. It's easier to go like this. So you see here is the master plan for the Jefferson County submitted by the applicant. What was the question again?
Yeah, so Chair Adder, let me respond. She can pull the computer, which seems to be acting up tonight. The direct answer to your question is the properties to the south are zoned and developed residential. So the additional lighting that's being requested there for the modification to that standard is that they could have lights basically that won't have full cutoff fixtures. So they can properly illuminate the southern side of the facility so that their vehicles and staff can get in and around it. They largely have that today. Okay, so they might be adding, I'm gonna make this up, a few lights to improve the lighting out there, but I can tell you, at least today, on one of the tallest portions of the building, there is a light out there that does directly shine. That you could see the light source from beyond the property, which is.
But it's nothing dissimilar to what is there currently.
That's correct.
Okay, thank
Yeah.
you. Anything else? Okay, now we will hear from the applicant. You can come forward and speak into the microphones. They should be on. And if you wouldn't mind stating your names, that would be wonderful. Thank you.
My name is Jeff Blake. I'm the fire chief for Jefferson County Fire and EMS, and to my right is Stacy Chiddix, acting as my owner's rep for this project expansion. So as you know, we have merged both the fire and EMS and brought everybody into our building. And one of the things that has happened with that is it's been great. It's been great for the community. However, we have a room issue with all of the staff that we have in that building. And then we also have the ability to add more staff through grants from the Oregon State Fire Marshal's office and some various and through our budget. Unfortunately, we do not have the room to house everybody in that building, especially when it comes to dorm rooms, facilities. Our makeup of our staff is 50% male, 50% female. I have one bathroom for the males with 2 showers. I have one bathroom for the females with 1 shower. And at any given point during the day, we can have 12 to 13 people in that building. So that's why we have the need for the expansion. When we look long-term for this particular piece of property, this will be the one and only expansion that we do on this building. However, we want to add things like some training props, training ground for staff training, for firefighter training, training for our volunteers, and the use of our ladder truck. So we have put into that a storage facility. And then we've also added that fire training tower, and that training tower is still up in the air, but like we referenced in this master plan, it could be upwards of 35 feet tall for us to be effective with our ladder truck and do the training that we need to do. We've also added the BLM. BLM is currently housed in the old EMS station through a lease process. They were housed in our fire department prior to us merging with EMS. They have some long-term goals to add a BLM facility, which you'll see is the bigger building on the south end of this. And then with that, I'd like to add a maintenance bay and then possibly some student dorm rooms to that building. How this would work is they would basically give the money for the building for the BLM purposes to the fire department. The fire department would then build it for them, and then they'd be in a long-term lease. That's how the BLM likes to work that. And then the lighting issue is, to be honest with you, is we've had tremendous amount of theft. We've had a tremendous amount of issues over the last few months at our, including people kind of staying and living in some of our current training props that we have. And so we would like to have that area lit using similar parking lot lights that we have already on the facility when the J Street and Fifth Street project got completed with ODOT. We do, like Nick referenced, we do have a very large floodlight that has been there probably since the building was built back in '89 that we do use on occasion. We have not received any complaints from any neighbors or anything like that. One of the things that makes this site unique is the size of the site. So there's a lot of versatile uses for it. We can do wildland training. We can do driver's courses, and when we can add eventually to that side is maybe paving that as money allows. One of the other things that's on this master plan is a fencing project, which will then secure a facility so that our facilities won't be used for living arrangements or losing equipment or anything like that. One of the things that we have done, and if you have driven by the fire station lately, on the north side of the building, the vacant lot area from the parking lot, we've already added about 9 trees in that. And we've also added, so there's trees from one end, it'd be the northeast end to the parking lot. And then around that little arch there, we've also added 4 more ponderosa trees in there to kind of spruce that up and kind of get it cleaned up. So those are the things that we're trying to do. And we're just looking at this as a long-term place for us. We're not going to add any more to the fire station. We're just trying to make it kind of develop the ground that we have around our existing facility. So any questions?
Thank you.
You bet.
Questions, Commission?
Yes, Commissioner Kendall, approximately, I know constructions take time and timelines change. Is this going to be built in phases, or is this one long-term project?
So that's a great question. The fire station expansion will be built in, would be phase 1 of this project. And we're hoping to start that anytime between September and November. We are aggressively seeking funding through a capital funding request. We have some of our own money. We're also working through the Business Oregon Special Public Works Fund for financing. So that'll be phase 1. The BLM building would be probably more like a phase 3, phase 4, because they're probably 4 to 5 years out on that. And then the storage facility and the training tower would be more of a phase 2 type plan.
So will phase 1 be completed by the end of the year?
No, it's about currently with current building status and all that, it's about a 14 to 16 month build process. And then, so what this also includes that we recently got a grant for a seismic rehabilitation of our building. So the apparatus bay, which is kind of where you see the 2 aprons there, that'll be part of this build now that wasn't anticipated. But now that we have the funding for that, we're gonna just rehab it. It's not changing as far as the looks or anything like that. They're just stabilizing the building as part of this. So that adds, like I said, it makes it about 16-month project from whenever we start building.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you.
You bet.
We will now receive public testimony. When you testify, please state your name and address for the record. All testimony shall be directed to the Planning Commission and not to the applicant, staff, or other members of the audience. If you have a question for another party, please direct your question to the Planning Commission chair, and the chair will determine whether a response from the other party is appropriate. Please keep your testimony concise and relevant to the issues before us this evening. It is perfectly acceptable and encouraged to indicate that you agree with the points made by another party instead of reiterating the point. Testimony will be received in the following order: persons speaking in support of the application, persons who wish to provide neutral testimony, persons who wish to provide opposition testimony. Finally, we will hear rebuttal argument from the applicant to the testimony provided. Is there anyone who would like to testify in support of the applications? Anyone online? Okay. Is there anyone who would like to present neutral testimony? Seeing none, we'll move on. Is there anyone who would like to present testimony in opposition? No one online? Okay, seeing that we had no testimony, it doesn't look like we need to have rebuttal testimony either. Does staff wish to provide anything further?
None, Chair.
Okay. The commission now has three options. We can close the hearing and deliberate towards a decision this evening. We can close the hearing and defer deliberation to a time and date certain. Or thirdly, we can continue the public hearing to a time and date certain. If I can just get a general consensus, which option A? You ready to make a decision? Or do you want to think about it?
No.
And you're, okay. Okay, it appears that we can close the public hearing and move towards a decision. Do I need a motion, Mr. Sneed? So I can have a motion from the commission?
Yeah, staff will bring up the staff report for you, but now would be the time for formal action by the planning commission. And on the screen here, we've got a motion for a planning commission. I can just say it to help you out, which would.
So do we need to close the public hearing first?
Yes, I thought you did.
I was asking if we need a motion to
No,
close the
you don't.
public hearing. Okay, so we will close the public hearing and move towards a decision. Is there any deliberation from the commission?
I move that the planning commission approve file number NP 23 one and SP 23 one based on the planning commission recommended findings and decision.
I second the motion.
All those in favor, say aye.
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 And any in opposition? As a side note, I'm very excited about this. I think that providing better public services for our community in a facility that may help with recruiting and longevity of people staying here is a really great thing for our community. So I'm happy to support this type of thing going through in Madras. So
Thank you very much,
motion passes.
Jacob.
And if there are no further questions, we can close this hearing, correct? And then do we have any other items to discuss this evening?
Yes, Fatma, you want to,
Thank you.
thanks, Chief. Our next planning commission meeting will be on June 7th at 6:30 PM, the new time.
Hooray. Thank you for 6:30.
We are not having another meeting this month.
No. So June 7th, 6:30 PM. I'm going to apologize in advance. We'll probably send you multiple notifications reminding you that we're going to meet at 6:30. Of course, if you come early, you'll see us here. Just wait a little longer. So,
That sounds wonderful.
yes. And we'll have the public hearing on the proposed housing capacity analysis that Eco Northwest presented in our recent work session. Fatma, did you have anything else for the commission?
Your clothes is almost ready. You should have it done by next week
Wow.
for those
Did you
who
get some clothes?
requested clothing.
Fun.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mhm. Thank you.
I think that's it.
All right.
Nice job this evening.
Then I will close the meeting at 6:34 PM.